Force healing. This has been a hot new topic in the massive pile of hot topics in recent Star Wars controversies, but this one has an interesting twist. In The Rise of Skywalker, we see Rey Palps introduce a new Force power to the films when she heals a snake. It's a quite handy power that gets used a lot throughout the film. However, its presence causes many passionate fans to stir up in anger, considering this power would have been pretty useful to have around in the past films. On top of that, it essentially breaks a lot of previously established Star Wars canon. This is just one of many polarizing topics to come from the sequel trilogy. However, this one stands out because a very similar scenario occurred just a few months prior, and seemingly had a much more positive reception. That being the moment Baby Yoda healed Carl Weathers in Season 1 of The Mandalorian. As I'm sure you all know, The Mandalorian was one of Disney's few critical successes in the Star Wars franchise, with most of their projects being polarizing at best and outright dreadful at worst. Needless to say, it's an outlier to see a show like The Mandalorian become so beloved, especially when its content so closely parallels something that is so widely hated. So what's the difference? Well, there's a lot of things. Let's start with Grogu. By the way, when I talk about the Mandalorian series, I'll only be referring to Season 1, as it's the only relevant season to the discussion, and future seasons and spin-offs overcomplicate things. The first thing worth pointing out is that Baby Yoda comes from the same species as none other than, Yoda, obviously, but that's significant, because this species is somewhat taboo in the Star Wars meta. George Lucas intentionally left details of the species secret and untouched, to further maintain the mystical mystery of Yoda as a character. So the fact that Favreau chose to make Grogu a member of this species is a subtle signal that he's a significant character beyond just being a Jedi in training. Furthermore, the Mandalorian series is relatively grounded compared to other Star Wars products, so mystical abilities like the Force are used sparingly and reverently. On the rare occasion that it appears, it feels like a big deal, and we as an audience are meant to be in awe. Grogu also starts out the show being very reserved, slowly opening up and using his powers more and more as time goes on, which builds up to the climactic moment in which he uses Force healing for the first time. Though it is not directly stated, it could be implied that this ability was unique to Grogu, and no one else would be able to use it. We can infer this considering we have never seen this power before in current Star Wars canon. Grogu belongs to a rare and mysterious species, and he used this ability despite being a novice Force user. Giving Grogu this ability makes the show feel like these relatively normal characters just stumbled upon a rare and great power beyond their understanding. This results in an added level of mystery to the show, as well as raising the stakes. We've seen Jedi in hiding before, but not one like this. Now with that all said, Episode 9 kind of flies in the face of all this retroactively, so it's time to address it again. Across the sequel trilogy, the Force gets used in many bizarre and questionable ways at a constant rate. Minuscule reverence, no build-up, no awe. After a certain point it becomes overwhelming, and adding healing to an already overflowing pile inspires either frustration or apathy. Using this power in Episode 9 also takes away from Grogu because it's no longer exclusive to him. Rey just learns the power off screen, and Kylo seemingly learns it on the fly. They make it seem easy to use, even at its most radical level. With the ease and frequency in which these characters use it, we as an audience are left to ask, why didn't they use it earlier? Why didn't everyone learn this? Why should we care about the safety of these characters if mortal wounds are now just a minor inconvenience? With Grogu, healing seemed like a rare and precious power that needed to be preserved at all costs. With Rey and Kylo, healing seems as common as sand on Tatooine. It doesn't help that Episode 9 and the sequel trilogy at large have a diminishing goodwill from the audience, while The Mandalorian was flowing with goodwill. So when the thing we hate hurts the thing we like, we hate the hated thing even more hatefully. Speaking of, subscribe to see more rants about things worth hating.